My name is Chang. I'm Assistant Director here at Center for Online Continuing Education and oversee media and innovation. And with me today is Carey Campbell, one of our media production assistants. I feel like a lot of the content here is a great prime example of really making creative content, engaging your viewer, and then the student is going to really remember the content that you're talking about throughout the course, and as they progress, they're going to really understand, what is the expectation, what are the items that have to be covered in this part of the course, and any other information that need to keep in mind as they move through the course. So we can start with why incorporate video into your course. You know, it's going to add something besides just text and maybe a photo. It really is going to help you kind of help with the teacher presence in your course, right? So how do you connect with your students? How do they know there's this actual person behind this? Is not just me reading a lot of text throughout. So we definitely like to bring a light to what is the value of teacher presence in an online course. That's one of the main things that we discuss when we're introducing media in the course. Again, just telling us a little bit about yourself, introducing the course itself, the material, what is the person who's here, and what do they want you to learn, what is about themselves, and what do they hope you get out of this course. So learner engagement is equally something that's just kind of goes hand in hand. Students will really gravitate and pick up a lot of the information that's conveyed in this manner. A wall of text is really difficult for students to kind of just grasp. That's where we think media really comes into play here, and it inspires and it motivates them as well. And obviously, this goes beyond just video. It goes into discussion boards and other assessments. So where to begin? It's kind of like the first day of class. If you've been, whether it's face to face or online, it's what are the important parts of the syllabus that you typically communicate with a student? What is it that everybody needs to know from the start? What are the most important details learners should know about your course and yourself? These are all details that they're probably going to review again, and in a video they can jump back to it and remember what was the specific thing, and as well as direct them to the syllabus as well. You don't want to overload them with details or instructions from the beginning, but just it's a welcome to the course. These are the things to keep in mind. And I would say recognize your pace. You can definitely take your time with it. I'd say if you feel like it's going too slow, it's probably going at the right pacing. As a presenter, when you're recording these videos, if reading is easier, you can use, there's websites that you can just paste the text or write the text, and it'll be using your own monitor as a teleprompter when you're recording these videos. Or as I suggest sometimes, just put bullet points. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that's moving in front of you. It could just be text right in front. And of course, be comfortable, be yourself. This is a way for students to really understand, again, who is the person behind this course. There really is a person behind this course. And if you feel like you didn't do a good job or it didn't come out as good as you like, I highly recommend doing it a few times, and I find that the third time is usually the best take. You've said it a couple of times. You thought about how you say it, and maybe you want to tweak something again. But usually, when you do it the third time, that's when it comes out really well. And usually, that's where your comfort level is reached, doing it a few times.
Planning it, like really just thinking through maybe some of the locations, like, maybe where you'd like to record a lot of this material, or, so which it could include maybe like finding a location that's pretty relevant to the topic. I mean, we'll touch a little bit more on that later, but that's definitely something I think to kind of think through as you're preparing or thinking through like the videos that you want to create.
And so typically we discuss, the welcome module in your course. Typical standard set of media that you would develop is a short video to introduce the course itself, right? So give students an overview of what to expect. This is a great place to just briefly cover the course and expectations. Personal introduction, they go also in the welcome module. So first they learn about the course and then they learn about you. So in your personal introduction, this is really more about tell the learner how you ended up where you ended up, or how did you come about to be teaching this course? How often do you teach the course? What do you like about teaching this course? And then just hobbies, any other items that you like to share with your students that you typically might share, on the first day of class as well. This is a great opportunity for your personality to shine through. And this is a great place to be creative and have fun with it. Throughout your course, we highly recommend creating module introduction videos. These are short overview videos for that specific part of your course. So you can reference things that it's leading up to. So let's say there's a midterm in a few weeks. You want to start bringing it up earlier. You can put that in one of the videos, or what assessments, assignments, topics are in this portion of your course. This is a great place to mention it and bring it up. So a little bit about module introductions. It's, like I said, it's a short video covering what this part is about. What do learners need to know as they begin this next section of your course? What are the main topics covered? How does it relate to the overall course objectives? And what are the important items that they need to do here? So if there is something, readings, discussions, something that's due, or something they're working towards, whether it's a group project or a bigger overall course project, this is a great place to mention it or bring it up again. You can do it if it's a bigger overall project for the whole course. You just keep mentioning it as they progress through the course. So a lot of the questions come up is, how long should videos run? So obviously student attention span is very limited, and in media site which hosts all of the videos for FAU, you can actually go into your analytics for each video and show and be able to see how long did students watch for. At what point did they stop watching? And it actually tells you which students in your course have actually watched this video. So there's a lot of options available to you, but for the most part, we recommend that you keep the course introduction under 5 minutes. Your personal introduction can be 2 to 3 minutes. And then again, your module introductions, 5 minutes or less. You're more than welcome to expand on topics in the module introductions. A lot of faculty do as well. So again, it's totally up to you of how much information and what information you feel is pertinent to really bring up at the beginning as of each section of your course. And then you have your lecture videos. A lot of faculty use PowerPoints, or they just have a regular lecture, let's say on the lightboard or on a whiteboard, or however they want to present it. We recommend breaking these down into 10 to 15 minutes. It's easier in the long run because if you want to review a certain part of this lecture, you don't have to shuffle through an hour-long video and try to find where it is that you mentioned something. So rather than that, we just recommend breaking them up into pieces, and then in the course they just appear, let's say in the 4 or 5 videos rather than one single long video. And again, that can just be in the editing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to break it all. It could just be a nice pause, maybe in between slides or somewhere in the content topics, and it just be edited into a separate video. So it appears seamless when they're watching it, but bringing it down into 10 to 15 minutes allows them to watch, pause, and then easily review again. So how to create engaging content. This is obviously what we're here to discuss. So how do you get started? Keep your objectives in mind. Definitely it is important to make sure that your content is aligning, your course objectives, if you have your module objectives, and then just make sure that everything is meeting what it should meet. So whether you have assessments, discussions, you can mention all of those things in your videos. Like I said, what needs to be discussed or brought up. What items should the students keep in mind throughout the course? Again, if you have longer projects that are due, or if you have a midterm exam coming up, you can bring those up. And again, you don't have to memorize everything. Not everyone can memorize everything they want to talk about. It'd be much easier to have aids such as note cards, bullet points, or again, the teleprompter website. Uh, You can even pause. MediaSite allows you to pause recordings if you want to just stop at that point and then start when you're ready again. So it doesn't mean that as soon as you start recording, you need to be able to give all of the information all at once. And then location. So is there a particular location relevant to your material? Is there some place that you could do these recordings that would really tie in, whether it's your office or whether it's somewhere on campus? It could be a lot of different options available to you. But overall, we do recommend a quiet space with good lighting, not too many distractions, whether it's noises in the background, people in the background, or just anything that's moving. It's gonna just distract, and then it could also affect the quality of the video.
A storyboard is actually a really, really good, I guess, tool that you can use to kind of help set up the course or the videos that you have for the course. You'll see in a bit because I worked with Dr. Carrico, and we actually had who unfortunately I don't think was able to join us today, but we had a pretty developed storyboard in terms of like how she wanted the videos to be shot and like where they wanted to be shoot, where she wanted them to be shot. So a storyboard is definitely very useful, I think, when kind of coming up with different, ideas for how you want the videos to look, because I think all of that kind of plays into everything that Denny was saying. Finding good location, finding good lighting. I've worked with some professors where, based on the subject matter, we might just change the lighting or change the type of color that's in the backdrop, just simply to kind of bring some sort of relevance to not just the video, but also to like the content and the topic.
So here we're going to share a few examples of videos that faculty have created, some that we feel really stand out and are really, really, really well done. So we'll start with self-recorded videos. Carey, feel free to jump in on any of these, but the two at the bottom are Dr. Conrad, who has either recorded in his home office, or out on location. So he teaches Spanish and French courses. And in the bottom right, he actually visited some of the towns in his course. And it kind of gives you like a mini lecture or introduction to what you're going to be covering in this part, or how this ties into that portion of this course.
The top two are actually Dr. Barrios. He was actually in his neighborhood, and the whole video is actually really incredible because he shot some in his garage and he shot some in his neighborhood. And I think he actually went to shot some shots from his fridge. So it was a really interesting video. He actually did the edit himself and sent it over to me, but it really just kind of shows how, when you maybe just go a little bit of an extra mile, you can kind of come up with something that's a little bit fun and maybe shows the students a little bit of your personality. And then the top one, or top right, actually, Dr. Schiff, this was just actually through a Zoom video, but just simply putting a little backdrop kind of made it a little different and made it almost look like a green screen. But it was just a Zoom video that one of the backgrounds that are provided with Zoom that she decided to use. And I thought it came out pretty good considering it was something she recorded on her own.
And there's a myriad of tools that you can use for self-recordings. They could be Zoom, and then you just save them at the end. The official MediaSite app is called Mosaic, and that records on your computer. And once you're done, it immediately uploads to your MediaSite account, which you can then embed into courses in Canvas. And so a lot of faculty record on their phones, webcams, laptops. It's the lighting and the audio. As long as you don't have interruptions, you're going to have a good looking video, and it's going to sound great and not be too distracting. So here we have a few examples of studio recordings. So any of the faculty have worked with the Center for Online Continuing Education to build their fully online course. They're kind of going a little bit further and being a little creative. We have a lot of resources available to build this media, and So Carey, I don't know if you want to talk to any of these about these, but on the top left, there's Dr. Rod is recording on a light board, which is just a large piece of glass and allows you to continue writing out your lecture while speaking straight through the glass to the camera. So this student can just watch you as you're writing and listening to you as well. So no need to stop and turn around. It's been very popular with throughout the colleges. All sorts of subject matter is finding ways to use it. So that's definitely one way to do it. And you can do this as a module introduction, or if you want to do an actual lecture, you can as well. And then we have On Location with Cheryl Vanderheiden. This is an online biology lab course. Obviously, you want to bring the student into what a lab looks like, and so they're aware of different things and procedures and how things operate. So we went into her lab and set up and recorded different module introductions at different points in the lab. So she covered a lot of different content. There was one where there was a microscope, and she just points out the parts of a microscope and kind of gives students a feel for what it would be like to be in the lab with her and all the assignments that they'll be going through.
I was just going to say the other thing I wanted to point out too is just the variety that you see here, because I was thinking about this even as we were kind of like, developing this presentation. I was thinking that, you may think that based on your course or whatever the content is of your course, that there may not be a location that's really relevant. You might think of like a math course, for example, and there may not be somewhere that's specifically relevant to math, let's say. But I mean, just even being in a classroom setting with maybe a blackboard or a whiteboard behind you, it can kind of bring somewhat of an ambient or somewhat of a, intentionality to it in terms of like how the video looks and maybe feels towards your course. So it just depends, that's kind of what I wanted to bring up with just some of the variety that you see with like the black and white, and then in the bottom right that was green screen, and that the entire video also is really incredible. I only could pick like a little screenshot, but just these are just some samples for you to really kind of think through maybe what could be useful in your course.
And a lot of these are, faculty are just open to ideas. Maybe they've, seen a couple places around campus and they're like, this would be a nice place for me to talk about this topic. So with Dr. Conrad, we actually just go around the the office building where he's located. We just went to the third floor and it was an open space. And then we went over one building and then one building over, and then we saw, they had the museum, or the gallery has a layout, and so that was a great place to just move one of the chairs, and he did another section of his course. In the past, we've walked all around campus, trying to find places that really work out well. We've gone all the way out to the stadium. Again, you can find a few galleries on campus, plenty of quiet spaces. And then we'll get to the library in a second. We've had a few recordings there as well. And then we see Cheryl Vanderheiden again in the studio, and Dr. Haygood in the green screen. So this one was heavily produced. A lot of different ideas, a lot of imagery that he had in mind. And we just discussed how we can go about creating them, whether it's pre-existing assets that you can find online, or if we needed to kind of think about, is this something that needs to be captured or animated or written or created, kind of flows with the rest of the images. But again, this could just be a PowerPoint with your images, and Teams or Zoom that does allow you to share that as well. So that could also be a self-recording option. And then we have Dr. Carrico's actual examples, and these are pretty much what brought about the idea for today's discussion. Was going that extra mile, or thinking through of how you want to present your material, what's really going to engage the student here.
Dr. Carrico, actually, just to give a little bit of a background, I later found out that she had like a musical theater background, so which explains a lot of the costumes. But the course was actually contemporary rhetoric, I believe. So throughout she focused on a lot of different philosophers and different sort of, philosophical ideas. So one of them, in the top right was in Rome, and I think she kind of pulled from like Cicero and, all the sort of Roman thinkers of the time. And the middle was Spock, and it was, that she kind of pulled from the idea of logic and how logic really plays into, of course, Spock from Star Trek, he was all about logic. So, she was, when we kind of came up with this idea, or she really had the ideas of like coming up with the costumes, but we collaborated a lot on like figuring out locations that would be really relevant, or finding some of them are also green screen too, I should add. Well, of course, the Spock one, but, the Effie trinket and like the other ones. But it was really just about, finding things that I think would be relevant. And this way, each week, it felt really unique and different. And one thing I'll say to that too is I think sometimes maybe even just, a change of clothing, if you come with like different shirts and different, outfits, maybe we can do the recordings in one day, and at least just changing that, at least it gives the illusion that maybe this was being recorded over the course of time. And it could just be another, element of creativity. That's probably the key there, I think, is finding ways to entertain and also kind of instruct them. This way they stay engaged. So, we can also come to like your office too. Some professors may have a really nice office and have maybe some things hanging up in the background. That's also something to consider too when doing personal introductions and those types of things.
And I'll share the link again. I shared the personal introduction video that was recorded for this course. And, it doesn't necessarily have to be scripted. You don't have to, immediately talk about all the topics that you want to talk about. You can literally just go at your own pace. And I feel like that's definitely been a little more uh, relaxed, engaging. It's definitely a more casual feel to the video. You're not overloading with a lot of information. I think that's really worked out well in this case for sure. I don't think Dr. Carrico used scripts. Is that right, Carey?
No, she did most of them just freestyled.
Yeah. And in some instances, she has notes in her hand, and some of the other faculty also have the structure of their course to lay out so they understand, this next module is going to cover this. And it's perfectly fine to have your notes with you. It still comes out and makes a great video. The more engaging and really visually appealing videos that we've seen are actually those created either in homes or in the offices on campus. A lot of times the the items that you might have up on the walls or on your desk or behind you, that really brings it together and gives you a sense um, of who is the person presenting, who is this person teaching this course, and here they are on campus. So definitely those are helpful versus just a plain background. Wherever we can, we kind of recommend, let's just go ahead and record in your office if possible.
Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone for joining us today. This has been so enlightening. I want to go out and try some new tools.